So today we'll be explaining the basics of Python. First, we need to install Python by typing in www.python.org in your browser. Okay, then hover your mouse to downloads and then click on download. Right, now click it. Okay, then follow the instructions. So click continue, agree, and then install. Okay, now since I've already installed this into my system, I don't need to install it again. So okay, all right, I'll just exit this out, and then after that I need to install PyCharm. So I would need to go to www.jetbrains.com/PyCharm. Okay, all right, now go ahead and download the community version of that, since the professional one you would need to pay for that. So here, just click on download, and then here you'll be going to download this right here. So let's just wait for a couple of seconds until this loads. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so drag it. Now since I already have this installed, you can just go ahead and follow the instructions. All right, so let me just stop right there. Okay, all right, now I need to open my PyCharm. Okay, all right, so first I would need to open a new project. So project files, and then create new Python file. Let's say Python basics right here. Okay, all right, let me just exit that out. All right, so first of all, for the basics, we need to type in hello world. So in order to do that, I would need to use the print function right here. Now inside these parentheses, you would type in hello world. Okay, hello world, and then click on run. Here you can see that it outputs hello world right here. Okay, now next we want to create a shape. So let's say we want to create a triangle. So we need to use multiple print functions. So let's say right here, so 1 2 3 4, right here, then close it, and then the next one right here. Okay, and then same thing. And then last one, so that we can just close this right here, and then boom, there we go. All right, now after that you just need to click on run. All right, here you can see that it gave us a triangle, a nice form of triangle. All right, next we want to talk about variables and data types. So let's say we want to print out that right there is a dog. Okay, all right, we want to have a dog to become a variable so that we won't have to manually change the names in each line of code. So we would just need to change the name of the value in our variable to automatically change all our values in each line of code. So this is especially helpful when you're dealing with lots of data. So above the print function right here, so above the print function, we need to name a variable. So let's name our dog animal type right here, and then equal it to dog. Okay, all right, now we need to change the dog in our print function. to our variable name, which is animal type. So print that right there is a. Okay, now we need to delete this, and then we need to add it. Then we need to type in animal type. Okay, now close that, then click on run. Here you can see that it still outputs the same text as before, but with the variable name right here. So that right there is a dog. Okay, to add a space, go ahead and do that, right? So that right there is a dog. All right, next we want to talk about strings. Now strings are just basically plain text. So plain text is right here. These are basically just plain text, or called strings. So since they're strings, it's a necessity to add in the quotation marks around it right here. Now, there are some functions that we can use with our strings. So let's say we want to change the capitalization of our string. We can just type in the bottom, so print animal type dot upper. Okay, now click on run. All right, here you can see that it capitalizes all the letters of dog. Okay, now vice versa for lowercase. All you need to do is change this to lower, and then there we go. All of it has been in lowercase. Okay, now then we can also count the number of letters inside our string. So in order to do that, let's just delete that. Okay, so we need to type in print, and then the length, so the length function, and the inside is the animal type, which is dog. So click on run. All right, there we go. You can see that it gives us the number of letters inside our string. Now, let's say we want to know where the letter D is located inside our string. So the letter D in dog. So we need to use the index function for this. So let's just delete this again. So we need to type in print animal type dot index, and then inside these parentheses we want to put D, since we want to find D from animal type. Okay, so click on run. All right, there we go. Here you can see that it gives us 0, since we always start our indexes from 0. So then let's say we want to replace dog into a cat. So we need to use the replace function for this. So type in replace right here. Then inside these parentheses, since it's from dog, we need to change it to cat. So just like that. Okay, now close it, then click on run. All right, here you can see that it changed into a cat. All right, now let's just delete all of these. So let's talk about numbers. Now for numbers, we wouldn't really need to put any quotation marks around it, since it's not a string itself. So we can just go ahead and, let's say, type in print and then 2, and then click on run. All right, there it'll result in number 2. See, notice that we didn't put any quotation marks around it. Okay, now what if I want to add 2 and 2, right? So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. There we go. It'll result in 4. All right. For this, you can also use different mathematical equations such as subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. Now, what if I want to combine a number in a string? We would need to use the str function. Okay, so for this one, let's just delete this. So let's say str and then inside is 2, okay? And then we need to add. And then let's say we want to put 2 is a number to start. Okay? Alright. Now, you've combined a string and a number. This is where this function comes in. So, click on run. Alright, here you can see that it resulted to 2 is a great number to start, which is right here that we inputted. Okay? Alright, now let's say we want to grab the power of a number. Now, let's just delete this, and then so in order to grab the power of a number, we need to use the pow function. So pow, and then inside these parentheses, let's say we want to get the power of this. There we go. Okay. Alright. There. Click on run. Alright, here you can see that the power is 625. So 5 to the power of the 4th is equal to 625. So you can do much more when you import the math library too. So let's say we want to import the math library. Math import all. Okay, there we go. You can use more and more functions to use, but these are just a few basic functions when it comes to numbers. Okay, all right, you can just experiment for that now. All right, next up, now what if we want to have users input something for the code? Let's say we want to ask someone's name. Type in a variable to use, so name, and then equal it to the input function. So input, and then inside these parentheses, let's say I want to put your name is, there we go. And then we need to use the print function, and then type in hi, nice to meet you, and then comma, and then you need to add it by your name, which is this one, so that we can be able to type it in real quick right here. Okay, so next click on run for this one. Okay, here you can input your name. So let's say my name is Bobby right there, and then click on enter. Okay. Right there. All right, there we go. It says hello, or hi, nice to meet you, Bobby. Okay. Right. Let's just add a space right there, and then yeah, there we go. Hi, nice to meet you, Bobby. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about lists. A list is another storage in Python for data. Now, a list can be empty, have only one value, or have many values inside. Now, to make a list, just use the brackets and commas next to a variable name. Now, for our example for this one, we want to type in, let's say, adults equal to Bob, then Mary, and Lacey. Okay, now we've just made a list right here. So now we want to access specific elements inside our list. So let's say we want to grab Mary from our list. Now keep in mind that each value in a list has an index starting at 0. So this one is 0, 1, and then 2. So this is used to locate the value within the list. So same way how you find a page in a textbook. That page number is an index. Okay. All right, now again, this one is, so Bob has an index of 0, Mary has an index of 1, and then Lacey has an index of 2. So type in print adults and then 1. Okay. All right, there we go. Click on run. All right, here you can see that it outputted Mary, since it has an index of 1. Okay, now what if we want to grab both Mary and Lacey? We would just add the colon after 1 right here to select all that's after Mary. Okay, so click on run again. All right, here you go. It should say Mary and Lacey. All right, you can also use negative numbers such as -1. This will grab the last character in the string, so which is Lacey. So let's just try that. So click on run. All right, there we go. It gave us Lacey. Okay, now what if we want to add multiple lists together? We would need to use the extend function. Okay, extend function. Hold on. All right, so make lists consisting of numbers and strings. So let's say we already got our adults right here. Let's say years. Okay, and then 4, 6, and then 9. Hold on. Let's just use the quotation mark. So yeah, 4, 6, and 9. All right, there we go. So after making the lists, you need to type in adults extend and then years, so that you can combine those. Then we need to print it by using the print function and using adults. So click on run. All right, here you go. Here you can see that the two lists has been added together. Now, what if we want to add a value to a list? So for that, we would need to use the append function right here. So keep in mind, our value will always be inserted at the end if we wanted to use the append function. So let's say we want another name called Martha to the adults lists. So you would need to type append for this, and then inside these parentheses, we want to type in Martha to add her in. Okay, now click on run. All right, here you go. Here you can see that it gives out the adult lists plus Martha at the end. Now, let's say we want to find out if Bob, like Bob in this list, is in the list. You know, is even though we know that Bob is in the list, there may be instances that you may not see Bob in big chunks of data. So for this, we would need to use the index function, since this will tell you the index of a value in a list. So for this, we need to type in, let's just delete that. So print adults X and then Bob. Okay, now click on run. Click on run right here. All right, you should see that it will result in a 0, since Bob has an index of 0. So this verified that Bob is in this list. Now, if you're trying to find something that is not on the list, then it'll result in an error. So let's say we want to remove Bob from the list. We need to use the remove function. So let's just delete this. So adults dot remove and then delete Bob right here, and then of course type in the print function. Now click on run. Right here you can see that Bob has been taken out of the list. Now next, what if we want to clear all of the values from our lists? So we need to use the clear function. So type in right here clear All right, and then print adults again. So there we go. You can see that it automatically emptied out all the values from our adults list. Now, let's say we want to count how many times a value, let's say we want to count how many times a value appears in a list. So we need to use the count function. So type, let's say we want to have more Bobs like this, right? So type in, let's say 3 Bobs. Yeah, there we go. Okay, then here you would need to use the count function. So print and then adults and then count right here. Then we want to count how many Bobs we have in this list. So click on run. All right, hold on. There we go. There we go. All right, here you can see that it gives us 3 since there are 3 Bobs in total in our adults lists. All right, moving on to our tuples. Tuples are the same thing as list, except that the values inside tuples cannot be changed. So to make a tuple, we need to act as if we were making a list, but the only difference is the brackets. So we would use brackets to make lists, but with tuples, we would use parentheses for this. So let's say I want to make a tuple consisting of numbers. So let me just delete all of this real quick. So yeah, so a tuple consisting of numbers. Let's say we want to name it numbers. Okay, now equal it to our numbers. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I want to print out that 4 from our tuple. So use the print function, the numbers. Since our index starts from 0, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. So we would input 3 for this one. Next, click on run. All right, there we go. It'll show us 4. But if I want to go ahead and change the numbers inside the tuple, it'll give me an error. So let's try to change our number 4 to a number 6, if that's even possible. Okay, so let's say right here. So I would need to type in numbers 3, since again 4 is in number 3, then equal it to 6. Click on run. All right, here you can see that it gives us an error since we can't really change anything inside our tuples. Okay, all right, next up we want to talk about functions. So to create a function, you will use the command def or def plus a function name, and then obviously the parentheses, then a colon. So let's say we want to say hello to someone and then say they are awesome. So we need to type in def. Let's call it hello. Okay, and then inside is the name. Okay, all right, next we need to print it. So hello. Okay, there we go. So since we're saying hello, we need to add in this one right here, our name, and then add it to our awesome. Okay, all right, then type in our defined variable, which is hello, and put a name inside the parentheses. So right here. So let's say the name would be Bobby. Okay, then say hi again to a different person named let's say Lacey. So, hello, and then to Lacey. Then the code should look like this. Okay, now click on run. there we go. It says, hello Bobby, you are awesome, and then hello Lacey, you are awesome. Right? You can see that it'll result in it saying these two sentences. So that's how you can create a defined function. So now let's say we've created a user-defined function and want to get information back from a function. We would need to simply use the return function. So the return function breaks out of a code sequence of the function, as in whatever is under the function will be skipped. So let's say we want to get a number doubled, so maybe 4 doubled. We want to define our function. So let me just delete this real quick. So define the def, and then let's call it double, and then inside is the number. Now equal it to, or colon it, and then next we would need to type in a return statement. Return, and then so our number, since we need to double it, multiply it by 2. Okay, now in the next 2 line of codes we need to use the print function. Then now inside these, since we said we want to double 4, we're going to input that and then close it, of course, and then click on run. All right, here you can see that 8 is the result, since 4 multiplied by 2 is equal to 8. Right? That's how you use the returns function. Now, what if I want to make an if statement? Now, an if statement is used to create a conditional action. Okay, right here. So, yes, an if statement is used to create a conditional action. So, like if a variable is equal to red, then it'll print to true. But if the statement is not equal to red, then it'll skip to the next line of code to determine that line of code is true or false. Now, in our Python file, we want to determine whether someone is allergic to shrimp or not. So type in a variable, let's say allergic, and then equal it to true. Okay, then type in an if statement. So if you're allergic, then print that man is allergic. Okay, then after this we need to type in an else statement if in case our first statement, which is this one, is false. So else equals, or not equals, so else, then colon, then we need to print it, so that man is not allergic. Okay, right, after this we need to click on run. All right, now in this case it says that the man is allergic, since we did determine it as true. Now what if we change the true statement to a false statement? So let's just change this. Now click on run again. All right, here the output will say that the man is not allergic. Okay, since this statement is false, then it automatically went to this statement right here. So this is how you use the if statement. Now you can also use the words or, and not to create more complex if statements. Okay, but that's for another time. So now what if I want to check if that person is either a male or not? That is either allergic or not allergic. So we can use the elif statement, since the elif statement is used to check if another condition is happening. So we would need to type in another condition. So let's say male equals true there, and then now add in if he's allergic and male. Okay, let's just change this one to that is a male and is allergic. Okay, then next there we go. So if, let's say he's not allergic but is a man, we need to print out that that is a male but is not allergic. Okay, and then next, let's say vice versa, right? So again, if he's allergic but is not a male, right here, so we need to print out that is not a male but is allergic. Okay, all right, and then obviously, so else, since we have two conditions, we'll change this to that is neither a male nor is allergic to let's say anything. Okay, all right, so after that whole thing, we need to click on run. All right, there we go. It should show us that that is a male but is not allergic. Okay, since we did put a true statement for male and then a false statement for allergic. Now, you can always switch it up if you want, but you know, you get the gist. So, right. So now moving on to loops. Now, a loop is an action that repeats until it's told to stop. So like a repeating function, basically. Okay, so yeah, I've just deleted that. Now, a while loop is a loop that runs as a condition is met. Once that condition is no longer valid, then it'll break out of the loop. Now, let's make a while loop right here. So let's say I want to loop 2 by adding 1 each time it loops. There'll be a point where the loop will stop once it gets to a certain point. So let's just say I want it to stop looping after it becomes greater than 15. So make a while loop by entering I and equaling it to 2. Okay, then type in while I is less than or equal to 15, colon, we need to print out I. And then, so I plus and equal to 1. Then we need to print it right here. So that means that the loop has finished right here. Then click on run. All right, here it should show you numbers from 1 up to 15. Then the sentence saying the loop has finished. This is how to make a while loop. All right, next we're going to talk about for loops. Now, a for loop is a loop that is hard to explain with just words, but one example of it is that it'll run until it looks at every value in a list, or it'll run for the number of times equal to a number. Now, to make a for loop, we can use a string to loop through each letter. So let's say I want to use the string, he likes meat. We can just type in for and then a variable name. It doesn't need to be a specific one, so just naming it anything you want. So I want to name this meat. So yeah, so meat. So for meat, and he likes meat. There we go. And then colon. Then you would want to use the print function. So meat. Then click on run. All right, here you can see that it looped in each letter of the sentence, he likes meat. Okay, next, yeah, that is how to make a for loop. There's going to be more complicated data than this, but obviously this is just the basics. So yeah, all right, next, obviously, as programmers, we would need to use notes at some point, especially if our code becomes too complex for us to even remember what's going on. So Python has this tool to comment down anything you need. So this tool is using hashtags. So wow, let's say so anything, basically anything after the hashtags, it won't affect your code once you run it. So which makes it very useful for human minds. So actually, let me just, there we go. Right, and then let's say we just want to add in a note. This is cool. All right, and then so run it. Here you'll see that it didn't affect our code right here. So this is very useful. So now after that, we need to install certain modules. So pip is how you download libraries to your Python to be able to use a module that are not already in your system. So let's say I want to download the pandas library. So I can go to my terminal right here. Okay, my terminal right here is right here. Okay, and then type in pip install pandas and then click on enter. All right, here you can see that the library has been successfully installed. Now that is it for the basics of Python. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to ask on the SlapJax email.